Good evening. Let's talk about something small with a huge impact: computer chips. These chips are the brains inside our electronics, powering everything from smartphones and cars to medical equipment and credit cards. They're everywhere, quietly running our world, often unnoticed. Without them, modern life would grind to a halt. Because chips are so vital, where they're made has become a global concern. For years, most chips used in America have been made overseas, especially in Asia. This reliance worries U.S. leaders. What if the supply is suddenly cut off? To address this, the government is considering a new rule: balance the number of chips we import with those we make here. This one-to-one rule could reshape the electronics industry, raising big questions for companies and consumers alike. Let's explore what this means. So, what exactly is a semiconductor chip? You might have heard the term before, but what does it really mean, and why is it so important to our daily lives? Imagine a tiny, flat piece of silicon, no bigger than your fingernail, yet packed with billions of microscopic switches called transistors. These chips are the brains behind almost every electronic device you use. Each transistor acts like a tiny gate, turning on and off to create patterns of electrical signals. This is the language of ones and zeros, binary code, that forms the foundation of all digital technology, from your smartphone to supercomputers. Creating a chip is an astonishingly complex process, carried out in ultra-clean factories known as fabs. These facilities are among the most advanced manufacturing environments in the world. Even a single speck of dust, invisible to the naked eye, can destroy a chip worth thousands of dollars. That's why workers wear special suits and the air is filtered constantly. Inside these fabs, sophisticated machines use beams of light, precise chemicals, and special gases to etch and build intricate circuits onto silicon wafers. Once complete, the wafer is sliced into hundreds of individual chips. The real magic lies in the material itself. Semiconductors are unique because they can both conduct and block electricity, allowing for incredibly precise control over electrical signals. This property lets chips process and transmit information at lightning speed, enabling everything from fast internet connections to real-time video calls. If it's electronic, it's powered by a chip. TVs, cars, GPS, laptops, and even the internet itself all rely on these tiny marvels to function. Massive data centers, the backbone of our digital world, are filled with millions of these chips, working together to store, process, and transmit information across the globe. They're the unsung heroes behind every modern convenience, quietly powering the technology that connects us, entertains us, and helps us work and learn. Without semiconductor chips, our connected digital age simply wouldn't exist. They are the invisible foundation of our modern world, shaping the way we live, communicate, and innovate every single day. Now let's look at the one-to-one rule the US government is considering. The idea: for every chip imported, one must be made in America. The goal is to reduce dependence on foreign chips and strengthen national security. Recent global shortages showed how vulnerable we are to disruptions. The rule aims to build a more reliable supply chain at home. It's part of a broader push to bring manufacturing and jobs back to the US, a trend called reshoring. The government wants companies to invest in American factories and workers. The one-to-one rule is a direct way to make that happen. It could transform the semiconductor industry and America's economic future. How would the government enforce this rule? Companies that don't meet the one-to-one balance would face steep tariffs, possibly doubling the cost of imported chips. To help companies adjust, there's a credit system. Invest in new US factories, and you get credits to import chips while building. Not all chips can be made here right away, so there would be some flexibility and exemptions. The goal isn't to punish, but to steer business decisions toward domestic production. Companies can either pay high tariffs or invest in US manufacturing to avoid them. The plan is designed to make investing in America the smart choice. It's a bold move to secure the country's economic future. This rule is big news for companies already making chips in the US. It gives them a major advantage. Suddenly, their American-made products are more valuable. Companies like Apple and Dell will need to buy more from US suppliers to meet the quota. This could spark a surge in demand for made-in-USA chips. US manufacturers like Intel and Global Foundries would be in a prime position to win new contracts. The stock market reacted quickly. Shares of these companies jumped after the proposal was announced. Investors see this as a huge opportunity for domestic chip makers. The rule could encourage even more investment in new factories and upgrades. It creates a cycle. Government policy drives demand, which fuels growth and innovation. For American manufacturers, this could be a game changer. Let's take a closer look at how these new rules are set to impact some of the biggest names in the semiconductor industry, and what it could mean for the future of chip manufacturing in the United States and beyond. Intel, with its major U.S. factories and a long history of investing in American manufacturing, stands to benefit significantly. The company has poured billions into expanding its domestic production capacity, and these new rules could ensure a steady stream of customers for its chips. By prioritizing U.S.-made semiconductors, Intel could see increased demand from both government and private sector clients, helping to secure its position as a leader in the industry. GlobalFoundries, another major player with a growing presence in the U.S., is also poised to gain. The company has been expanding its sites in places like New York, and the new policy could give it a competitive edge, attracting more business from companies looking to comply with the rules. For both Intel and GlobalFoundries, the policy acts as a powerful incentive for electronics makers to source their chips domestically. This could lead to more contracts, more jobs, and a stronger U.S. manufacturing base overall. But for foreign giants like TSMC and Samsung, the new rule presents a significant challenge. These companies have long dominated the global chip market, but most of their advanced manufacturing facilities are located in Asia, far from the U.S. customers they serve. To stay competitive and maintain access to the lucrative American market, TSMC and Samsung are already investing heavily in building new plants on U.S. soil. These massive projects, like the new facilities in Arizona, represent a shift in global manufacturing strategy and signal just how important the U.S. market has become. The new rule could accelerate these investments even further, pushing foreign companies to ramp up their U.S. operations faster than ever before. Meanwhile, fabless companies like NVIDIA and AMD, who design chips but don't manufacture them, will face new pressures. They'll need to find U.S.-based manufacturing partners or encourage their overseas suppliers to set up shop in America, all to ensure their products meet the new requirements. The end result? A surge in chip-making capacity within the United States, as both domestic and international firms race to build or expand their facilities to meet demand. The entire industry will be forced to adapt quickly, with companies rethinking their supply chains, partnerships, and long-term strategies. This policy could fundamentally reshape global supply chains, shifting more production and logistics activity to the U.S. and reducing reliance on overseas factories. For everyone involved, from engineers and executives to factory workers and logistics teams, this marks a major turning point. The industry is entering a new era of competition and innovation. The stakes are higher than ever for the entire tech world, as the race to secure America's chip supply chain heats up and the future of global technology leadership hangs in the balance. Supporters say the one-to-one rule means more American jobs and stronger national security. Building and running chip factories creates thousands of high-paying jobs, from engineers to construction workers. New fabs boost local economies, creating ripple effects in surrounding communities. The policy could revitalize entire regions and rebuild America's industrial strength. Security is another key benefit. Chips are vital for the military, infrastructure, and critical systems. Relying on foreign suppliers is risky. A crisis could cut off our supply. A robust domestic chip industry makes the country safer and more self-reliant. The pandemic showed the dangers of fragile supply chains. Supporters believe the long-term benefits far outweigh the costs. Not everyone is on board with the one-to-one rule, and the debate is growing louder as the policy gains attention. While some see it as a way to strengthen American manufacturing, others are raising serious concerns about the potential downsides. Critics worry that building more U.S. chip factories, known as fabs, will be extremely expensive. Since American-made chips often cost more to produce than those made overseas, this could mean higher prices for everyday products. From smartphones and laptops to cars and appliances, consumers might end up paying more at the checkout counter. The global chip supply chain is already a delicate web, with parts and materials crossing borders multiple times before reaching the final product. Forcing a strict one-to-one balance between U.S. and foreign production could disrupt this system, leading to production slowdowns, shortages, and costly delays for manufacturers. Some industry experts argue that the rule is too rigid and doesn't account for the realities of modern manufacturing. They warn that it could make U.S. companies less competitive by reducing flexibility and efficiency, especially in a fast-changing global market. There's also the risk of sparking trade wars. If the U.S. imposes strict rules, other countries might retaliate with tariffs or restrictions on American goods, making it harder for U.S. companies to sell their products abroad and potentially hurting the economy. Instead of protectionism, some voices in the industry call for more global cooperation. They believe that working with trusted allies to build secure, resilient supply chains is a better path forward, one that balances security with economic growth. Others are skeptical of heavy government involvement. They worry that too many rules and regulations could distort the market, protect inefficient companies, and stifle innovation, ultimately making the industry less dynamic. Many business leaders say that offering incentives, like tax breaks or grants, would be more effective than imposing strict mandates. Incentives can encourage companies to invest and innovate without forcing them into a one-size-fits-all approach. While there's broad agreement that boosting U.S. manufacturing is important for economic and national security, the real debate is about how to achieve that goal without unintended consequences. Ultimately, the impact of the policy will depend on the fine print, how it's written, how it's enforced, and how companies and governments respond in practice. With so much at stake for both consumers and the tech industry, the choices made now could shape the future of American manufacturing for years to come. As of September 2025, the one-to-one chip rule is still a proposal, but it signals a major shift in America's tech strategy. If enacted, it could spark a wave of new factory construction and innovation, creating a chip belt across the country. In the short term, we might see higher prices and some disruption as companies adjust, but the long-term vision is a more secure, self-reliant America with a stronger industrial base. For consumers, this could mean fewer shortages and a more stable supply of electronics. The trade-off: higher costs now for greater security and jobs in the future. The rule is more than policy. It's a statement about the future America wants to build. Success will depend on execution and the global response. The conversation about where our technology comes from is just beginning. The outcome will shape our digital world for generations.